I'm Jonathan Watt with Atara Group International. We hope you're enjoying the various series we are doing. This particular one is on leadership. If you are, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel. We're talking today about embracing pain while you are leading. And by the way, I happen to be doing it today in front of the high school where I went to my junior and senior years, or I guess freshman, sophomore, junior years in this area in Amherst, New York, just outside of Buffalo. And thought this would be a fun place to be able to think about some of these principles of leadership. Specifically, embracing pain while you are in a position of leadership. You know, in the journey of leadership, pain is an inevitable companion. Whether you're leading a church or leading a business and building it, whether you're part of a community group, the challenges can be daunting. And pain arises, well, from a variety of sources, such as, being misunderstood and then maybe misrepresented as well, losing some of the people who were working with you and they decide they don't want to do it anymore, facing disappointments where you thought something would develop nicely, but it just didn't. Or you're just dealing with difficult transitions where maybe nothing that difficult is happening, but because of the changes, it's just hard to deal with them. And these and many other reasons are why pain is an inevitable part of leadership. We believe these trials can be transformative. We're not saying they're a guarantee of transformation, but they are an opportunity for it when we embrace them as an opportunity for growth. I'd like to explore that with you just a little bit for the next few minutes. So, understanding leadership pain and realizing it comes in many forms, like, being misunderstood. Let's take that example. It can result in feeling very isolated, especially when you're the one who's poured so much effort into making the right decisions and hopefully seeing the right things happen, and then someone just misconstrues what you're saying, and you can't believe it, but that's what's happened. Sometimes after you've poured all your effort into making right decisions, and then you're seeing people leave your community, particularly those who you've supported and maybe they've supported you, this can be taken very personally, and these kinds of disappointments can be a constant companion, such as when, your grand visions don't unfold as planned, departure of valuable team members, sometimes, by the way, taking other team members or church members with them, and these add yet another layer of hurt. And for a lot of leadership pain, it's the layering, sometimes of many small hurts, but they just sort of stack up, and it feels sometimes like they're around you and won't leave you. So carrying the burdens of others is overwhelming. It's a great place to be, but it's also a risky place to be, and can lead, in fact, to what we call secondary trauma. And this underscores the need for support for leaders at these kinds of times. So let's talk a little bit about what can be happening when pain is used as a catalyst or sort of a set of circumstances that will actually help promote growth. So if you see pain first as a teacher, this is a good beginning point. Rather than fleeing from it or just suppressing or denying it, leaders can view it as a profound teacher. Each challenge offers lessons that, when they're embraced, they really can lead to personal and organizational growth, so that you see and react to things maybe in ways you didn't before, and that's a welcome opportunity. Here's Romans chapter 5, verses 3 to 5. We glory in our sufferings, says the Apostle Paul, who faced some, frankly, pretty awful leadership pains. We glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. It's a hope that doesn't put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. That's Paul's take on shame, and he saw, frankly, a phenomenal set of disappointments and sometimes crushing oppositions, but he was able to configure those in a way he was always pushing forward. That's number one. Number two, vision is part of a driver here. Obstacles and setbacks are part of a journey, and maintaining a clear vision of the larger journey helps leaders push through pain in the shorter term, kind of like athletes that are striving for a victory at any given moment. They may just want to just stop. It's too much. But if they see the bigger picture of the fight that they're in or the run that they're in, they'll keep going. Here's Romans 8:28, well-known passage. Maybe you know this one. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who've been called according to his purpose. So that's an opportunity there, a way of seeing. It does not say that everything is good. It says God can use anything for good, we would say, including pain. Now, number 3, it may require that you develop some kind of a personal development plan. So like a robust personal development plan that incorporates life's trials into a journey of continuous growth. It's a way of seeing pain. And engaging with the mentors, the books, the podcasts, anything that strengthens leadership resilience. Here's 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 14, says Paul to one of the people, he is relatively younger than him, but he's training. As for you, he says to Timothy, continue in what you've learned and have become convinced of, because you know those who from whom you learned it. In other words, keep an eye on those who've learned how to have a duration through here and make that your example. Now, there are times to share pain with a foster community. One of the most underutilized strategies in leadership involves sharing personal struggles, at least at the right time and to the right people. You don't want to do this just indiscriminately, but the right kind and right timing, an act of vulnerability, does more than just unburden a leader. It actually educates and empowers the community, because others are now able to say, great as this person might be as they lead us, they're struggling with things as well. They didn't somehow get beyond it. Maybe they find that we're now empowered to do similarly. So pain liberates us from some mirage of invincibility, this belief that somehow we can't be taken down. It shows us that in fact we are vulnerable. We need to remember that. By sharing struggles, leaders dismantle this myth of invincibility, showing that they too face trials and they rely on faith in order to be able to keep doing what they're doing. Now you get this very tenderly from Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 through 10. By the way, it's a passage where he talks about a number of the difficulties he has faced. They're quite intense. And then he's quoting God. So, as God said to me, says Paul, as God said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Interesting piece. So therefore he goes, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may not rest on me. Christ's power may rest on me, but the weaknesses are not going to take me down. That is why, for Christ's sake, he says, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, persecutions, difficulties, for when I'm weak, he says, then I'm strong. But of course, that's Christ being strong in him. So this vulnerability models trust in the midst of trials. Transparency during tough times teaches others how to navigate their own challenges, and they'll have them, and reinforces a culture of trust and faith. Here's James chapter 1, verse 12. By the way, another writer who says a lot to say about difficulty and trials. He says, blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. So this transparency, the selective sharing of pain, cultivates an environment of honesty and safety. A leader's openness fosters an environment where others feel safe to share, leading in genuine connections and healing, because they can say, hey, this person is in it with me. They're not up here above me, but they're in the midst of it with me. Now here's Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. I bet you know this one. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, because I'm gentle and humble in heart. You'll find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. And I think you recognize that's Jesus speaking to all of us. So this kind of sharing invites then a community support for those who are in vulnerable situations. When a congregation supports its spiritual leaders, especially at difficult times, it strengthens relationships and it promotes a shared growth where all get to have these benefits, as well as the person who's most immediately feeling the trials. You know, here's Exodus 17:12. Here's Moses as he's looking over a battle, prevailing against the enemy. When his hands grew tired, they took a stone and they put it under him, and he sat on it, and Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on the one side, one on the other, so that his hands were made steady until sunlight, as Moses basically, in effect, was interceding for his people. So here's our conclusion. Pain during when you're in a leadership role, while challenging, holds the potential to deepen both personal and communal growth. And by embracing and sharing these struggles, leaders not only transform their own journeys, but they're also enriching the lives of those they lead by sharing these things with them. So our prayers at Atara Group International are with all who are spiritual leaders in the church in all kinds of particular positions. If you're a church leader and you need more support, or your church would like to get support for you more than you're receiving right now, please visit our website, schedule a 15-minute consultation with us. We would love to hear from you and learn how we could assist you through your struggles and pain and strengthen you in the midst, especially of those difficult times. Please do that. Thank you.